Thanks. So welcome. If there are people outside the room for Europe, please.
Europe.
Don't hesitate to enter. Don't fight to enter. It's not early morning.
Europe 5 is leaving.
Exactly.
Last call.
So so thank you. Just to have a short introduction. This session is speaking about European regionalization, and the agenda of this morning, these 2 hours, are very, very simple. We have 1 hour to speaking about the leadership plan, and the second hour to speak about the farm to fork. We are here in a strange group of people, group of cities, because in all of the other regional session, parallel regional session, there are the members of the steering committee that are leading that session in order to work towards the leadership plan per each region. In Europe, it's a little bit different because, as you know, in Europe we have established the Eurocities working group since 2016, and so we propose to manage this session by joint the effort of the Milan Pact due to the steering committee member and to the Eurocities working group. So the people that you see in the was listed before in the set of people of the slide are myself. I'm Andrea Magarini, chair of Eurocities working group food, representing the city of Milan, and again from Eurocities, that is Natalia Boitot from the city of Warsaw, that is the vice chair of this working group, as well Anja De Cunto, that is the focal point of Eurocities, and from the steering committee, please, thank you. And for the steering committee, we have Alvaro Porro from the city of Barcelona, that nobody about you already know. Alvaro, he's here for the first time. I don't know why he's here.
I was looking for something to do today. And
yeah. And from the city of Barcelona, that was elected, Barcelona and Birmingham, in the February 2020, so a few months ago, as new member of a steering committee, and with Alvaro, that is just in Varney from the Birmingham City Council, that is the other member of in Europe of the European representation of a steering committee. Please take a round of applause and then leave to Alvaro.
If someone has any doubt about how funny was going to be the Europe session, then we have a good start. Okay, thank you very much, Andrea. Well, as Andrea explained, Birmingham, Milan, and Barcelona, we are allowing the Milan Pact steering committee for the European participation in the steering committee. We are working like all the other regions in organizing this, in creating this, establishing this leadership plan that Tanya is going to explain much better. But basically, just to have an idea of what is this leadership plan about, is first, one of the things we want to do is to discuss what is our shared vision of our regional context, which obviously is quite different from maybe other regional contexts, and we have to have a really concrete landing on what is really going on in Europe. Of course, we have to start from the challenges and opportunities that we are encountering here, and that's something probably we will have to share, and it's somehow implicit in our leadership plan proposal. But I really would like to check out with that if our starting point is the correct one. Also, we should talk about which actors, of European actors, we want to engage in further activities, because I think the whole leadership plan is not about just us doing things on our own, but it's also about creating this connection, engaging other actors in this plan. And then, of course, organizing the next 2 years of the action plan. There is a first draft, first version, that is what Natalia is going to explain. So we will go through it in a couple of minutes. We really encourage you to really enter the discussion, so really not take that for what we are going to present like for granted. It's really open for discussion, and I would rather have like a lot of changes than just like a kind of silence. Okay, let's go with this, whatever. So let's please say whatever you feel about it, even is to say, oh, that's crap. Okay, let's see what is going on, how we can continue. Yeah, of course, like the other 5 regional areas of the Milan Pact, all together they are going to create the Milan Pact Action Plan. So that will be a part of it. But I would say, and I don't want to become really like a kind of European-centric perspective, but we have to assume that Europe has a really key role in the whole global development of the Milan Pact and a lot of the facing of a lot of the challenges we have globally. So I think we have to be aware of that and take that responsibility. If Europe is not like pushing forward some of the things that needs to be done, maybe no one is going to do it. And also we have a bigger responsibility because we have a big part of the responsibility in the problem. So I would just send that message to kind of have it in mind the whole session. But I'm very excited to work with you. And yeah, so Natalia, I think the room is yours, no? Oh, no, sorry, you're coming. Sorry, Andrea.
Thank you, Alvaro, indeed, for this welcome and for the introduction. Just to have a brief overview on what we've done with Eurocities. Maybe some of you already know all of this process, but also some people asked us yesterday. We launched the Milan Pact in 2015, and in 2016 we worked together with Eurocities to define the field of action of our working group. So define the topic and establish the working group. Eurocities is the main mayors association of cities and mayors all around Europe, and we met the year after, in 2017, in Birmingham, speaking about nutrition. We met twice a year, and per each meeting in person, we organize also study visit in a city that will candidate to host the working group meeting due to their previous effort. Then we met in Valencia during the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact Global Forum of 2017, then in Amsterdam during the Eurocities Environmental Forum, meeting also with other working groups. So in that time we met with 2 joint working group, one from food, so our, and the other on waste, and we're speaking about food waste. Also engaging, speaking about urban agriculture. Speaking about food waste, also engaging the European Commission officers. We try all the time to engage also some officers from the European Commission. I was very, very efficient because it's a space in which we can speak informally with them, have an idea of the next call, for sure. Have also an idea of the next legislation that are preparing, the initiative, and so on. And in Amsterdam, we engage people from the DG Santé, that was in charge of European Platform for Food Losses and Food Waste, in which I represent Eurocities and the City of Milan in the stakeholder group. Then we met in Lyon. Speaking about this time, yes, per urban agriculture, also organized a set of study visit on agricultural park, school canteens, public procurement system, and cooking center. Then in Ghent, that was an amazing study visit, also on the boat, on the channels. We see Food Saver Ghent, that was a winning cities of Milan Pact Awards of 2018 maybe. And they organized that meeting because exploiting the money of the Milan Pact Awards, they organized that meeting in order to transfer their practices also in other cities. And in Ghent, again, we invite the people from the DG Research of the European Commission. Then we met in Montpellier during the Global Forum of 2019, and also in Montpellier and in Valencia. The meeting was very, very short because it's a part of the wide agenda of the Global Forum. So when we met there, we don't organize also collateral study visit and so on. And then COVID hit, and we changed, as all of us in Europe, our meeting from person to online. and we have a meeting on public procurement, on farm to fork, and on food aid. And on food aid was very, very, very participated because it was in last March, and the topic was so important for all of us. And in that meeting, we engaged 76 city officers from 47 cities. What was a little bit impressive because also, as Anja from Eurocities told us, are not so many participated the meeting on the other. And also there we engage about 13 European capitals. So this is our journey until now. And we do this because we want to share each other and to inspire each other. And okay, here you can see a map. Europe, as also Alvaro mentioned, is the region in which we have the major part, the high number of signatory cities of the Milan Pact, and also the high participation of the Milan Pact Awards. About the half of all the practices are coming from Europe. As you can see, there is a part of Europe well represented, Northern Italy, Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, French, UK, a little bit in Germany, just one in Poland, and all the eastern part of Europe is not so representative. Not just in the Milan Pact, as well in the working group food. This is one main of the topic of the future. And if for those that participated in the meeting yesterday on the Horizons projects, in the Horizons there are a lot of participation of Eastern European countries. So maybe there can be an option to connect and to try to engage also the cities. Again, the working group is a good platform to share practices in a neutral space, and we can meet here whatever we want. And we have a set of call for volunteers all the time to be lead of some processes. The main task, the main goal of Eurocities is share knowledge, each other, organize joint participation of the European project, and organize advocacy towards the European Commission. Due to this part of advocacy to the European Commission, we are participating in the European platform for food losses and food waste. Anja is representing Eurocities within the expert group of the Farm to Fork expert group. I don't know, I have type on my paper, but it's not so easy to find there. But it's the expert group that are working with the Commission to work on the next legislative framework of Farm to Fork. We know that there are other platforms of the European Union, other working group institutionalized within the European bodies on public procurement and also on other topics, and maybe can be very interested if some of us can play a role also in that platform. Now I leave the floor to Natalia, but before, so we are not so many people, but we have a lot of registered, so maybe come here also from other. We ask primarily to contribute and to discuss the city officer, because all the time this meeting of Eurocities are open only for city officers. Here there are also researchers and stakeholders, other network, but please leave the priority for the intervention to the city officer. Thank you, and Natalia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Andrea. So with this historical background, very dynamic and impressive, now that we're together, we can speak about our future for the next 2 years. So we are very excited to share with you our thoughts and our propositions. So first, as Alvaro said, we can't do it alone, and we would really much like to involve other actors. And we defined 2 and even maybe 3 types of partnerships we would like to have within these 2 next years. So we propose to have, of course, still Eurocities as a platform of exchange and working as, until now, advocacy, joint participation in the EU project. So that's for sure, and that won't change. But then we have this first kind of partnership we would like to have. So, of course, with the EU Commission and other EU actors. So as Andrea mentioned, involving ourselves in platforms, working groups, meetings, and here you have a few DGs who are mentioned, with whom we will cooperate. So that's the first kind of partnership we see. Then we would like to have also thematic partnerships to empower cities in specific topics. So the first one would be with EAT Foundation. So here it's in the field of planetary health diets. Then the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, also here in circular economy for food. So we already had the visits of these institutions on different working group food meetings. So, and also EAT Foundation is in food trade, so we are already connected. Slow Food Europe too is engaged in food trade. So here we would like to work more in the field of citizen engagement, also empowering local communities. And EIT Food, here it's more the topic of food startup and food investments. So that would be for the thematic partnership. And we also thought about a third one, which is not indicated here, but we were thinking about cooperating with national networks of cities which are active on food, because then it will allow us to empower the cities' relations with national governments. So that's the first vision we have. We will have some time afterwards to discuss it. If you would like to intervene right now, you also have the possibility, but we will have also some space dedicated to exchange right after I present these different points. So that was for the partnerships and the actors we want to involve. So right now, what kind of goals have we set for ourselves within the next 2 years? So we propose to involve 10 key cities, which are already active on food policies, but covering countries with low membership in our Eurocities working group food. So such as Finland, Norway, Sweden, Bulgaria, Hungary, Ireland, Poland, Germany. So that would be our goal. Then we would like to maintain 2 regional fora, Eurocities fora, so Eurocities meeting per year. And this would be great to have them also with study visits if we have the possibility, because we know the added value it has. We've experienced it many times and it's incomparable to what we have online, which is already great, but of course being on the ground is different. Then, of course, we have it right now, basically the organization of the Global Forum in Barcelona. So this is one of our goals we have already. We are in the doing, currently happening. Then we would like to increase the number of practices from Europe to the next call of the Milan Pact Awards in 2022. It could be until up to 5. That would be great. We had 45 practices in 2019. Then we would like to have more coordination, cooperation between the European projects. So we already have this Food 2030 family project. We would like also to connect more with Europact. We had the session yesterday evening. We also spoke about it a bit. So we also see a lot of synergies that could be done there. Next, Agri, BPath, Dear Food Wave, also the project Food Wave, which is also led by Milan, by the way. So we see a lot of synergy possibilities here too. Then we would like to have also enhanced advocacy actions towards the EU institutions. So here we have mentioned, and Anja will talk about it a little bit later, also what is being done right now in the Farm to Fork legislative framework. We also would like to be more in touch also with the European Agricultural Fund for Rural Development and Common Agricultural Policy. Then also we would like to tackle the topic of the EU Child Guarantee for the Healthy Meals. So this is an initiative of the European Commission against children poverty, and here we could make the difference regarding the meals in schools. And also the ESF Plus, so it's the European Social Fund Plus for food aid distribution. We also mentioned it during our webinar in March. So we would like to keep up cooperating on that aspect. Right, and the last point would be sharing knowledge among the community of the MUFPP. So maintaining that aspect. Regarding the regional activities, so in 2021, we had the following plan, and so some are currently happening, such as the regional forum and the meeting of our working group food on the occasion of our global forum here. There is also the launch of the Barcelona Challenge for Good Food and Climate, so I think we will hear a little bit more about it later. The same goes for the launch of Cities Food Justice Pledge, so we will hear a little bit more about it also later. We already had one online meeting, so that's the webinar I mentioned, that was held in March about food aid in EU cities. Then we would like to have also an online meeting regarding the EU food proposal matchmaking. So maybe, we have had already. Also we would like to discuss the SDGs and sustainable food production and consumption. So that's an option we have also. And we would like also to speak about food environment and tackling obesity, maybe regarding the city of Amsterdam. So that's one option also we are considering. And lastly, also a meeting on EU child parenting. That's what I mentioned a little bit before, this initiative of the EU Commission. And we would like also to have one webinar on that. So that was for 2021. Regarding 2022 activities, so here we would like to have 2 regional fora, as mentioned also before in our goals, so to keep this format. The first one will be in Almere during the Floriade. So I think we might hear about it a little bit later, exactly. So you will discover what is it about in the Floriade Expo. For those who are already in the working group food, we already know a little bit. We've had the occasion to participate also in announcing in an event announcing this expo, and then also the second regional fora would be held in Grenoble potentially, so we can hear about it also later. Then we have foreseen to have 6 webinars on thematic issues. For cities. So the first one would regard the EU food system law within the framework of farm to fork. The second one would regard the Barcelona Challenge for Good Food and Climate. That would be the follow-up on that. Then we would like to discuss diversity, culture and food systems in cities. That would be organized by Birmingham. And also another topic which would be organized by Birmingham would be addressing food justice in urban food systems. And we have also a last session to be determined. We also propose to have a kind of a brokerage event online, which means that we could connect very different cities regarding potential participations in EU calls. So exactly this aspect of organizing joint partnership consortia. And also, we would like to have and to prepare, basically, Andrea, this one independent expert report of the EU Commission on the state of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact in Europe. So that's an opportunity we would like to explore. And then for the last year, 2023, so we would like to keep the same format as said before, so these 2 regional fora for webinars on thematic issues and 1 brokerage event. Again, that's in order to match cities together and potential consortia for EU goals. So that's basically how we see it for now. That's our proposition, of course, and we will be very glad to discuss it with you. Yeah.
Great. So I'm Justin Varney, Director of Public Health for Birmingham City Council. So I'm going to moderate this bit, and this is the bit where you get to kind of tell us we've got it right or we're missing great big things. And as Andrea was highlighting, when you speak, can you tell us which city you're from? Because it's really important, the city ownership of this. So I think the first thing is to get a sense of initial reactions Are there things you feel that are missed, particularly in the previous bit about the focus and the kind of leadership space that we want to take the region into? So does anyone have any comments or thoughts you want to start us off with? It's still early in the morning, but what I might do actually, just can I ask those of you who are from European cities, representing European cities, to stand up for me? Keep you moving at the start of the day. Brilliant. Okay, so you're the people we get to pick on first. So can I ask the gentleman in front, what's your reaction and which city are you from?
Yes, I'm Henk Lenting. I work at Applied University here in Almere, but I'm also working as a policy advisor for the city of Almere, so I represent the city of Almere. And I'm here together with Xander de Bruyne, who is program manager of Floriade Expo. I did not respond directly because I think the main lines for me, they really look very good. Mm-hmm. And in some places there is already reference to Almere, and we will be really very happy to contribute on that part. Maybe afterwards we can say a little bit more about the Floriade Expo that will be held next year. And for us it would be, well, we need to look into the exact modalities, but in itself Almere is very interested to organize a regional forum as part of that. Apart from that, there are also a number of other things that I could mention that are interesting. One thing that is interesting is that in the Netherlands we have since last Saturday again a new national network of cities working on food policies. A new city deal, the city deal that I think many people already knew, food on the urban agenda, that was there in the last 3 years, but now there is a new city deal which is more or less a follow-up of that, which was signed on last Saturday, World Food Day, between 8 cities, 3 national ministries and 5 societal organizations, which is especially on the topic of sustainable and healthy food environment. So I think there will also be lots of possibilities to make linkages with that. Apart from that, Almere would also be interesting maybe to do something with webinars. As part of the Floriade, we are anyway working on a series of webinars, what are called Floriade dialogues, and we could very well think to organize something like that, hosted also by, Floriade has also facilities to host this kind of dialogues. And a last thing that I still want to mention, I already wanted to mention it yesterday in the Food Trails group, but there was not really space for that. But I'm also, as Eres University, we are involved in another Horizon project, which is not a city-based project, but it's a more thematic project, a coordination and support action, which is called European Forum on Urban Agriculture. And the objective of that is that the European Commission asked to make proposals and also to start a process of building a community around to start exploring what can be policies of the European Union on urban agriculture. Well, also due to COVID, that was difficult in the startup, but there will also be the coming time lots of possibilities to interact, and I think that could be also very interesting to link to Eurocities as one of the partners.
Great, brilliant, and lots of opportunities there. Yeah. And I think also with the urban agriculture, as we come out of, into the next phase of the COVID pandemic, many cities are reviewing their industry base, and whether that becomes a new economy space for cities that traditionally haven't had it, which may be a new level for us. Can I ask you to pass the mic to the lady behind? Because since we have 4 city leads, I'll ask them all to speak.
Good morning, I'm Christine Oriol from the metropolitan area of Grenoble, and I'm here with Cyril Pellenet, who is our Vice President for Agriculture. I have no specific comment to what we've been presented. We are getting ready in April to welcome a working group.
Great.
Cyril, do you have anything to add? No?
Okay. And can I just ask, in terms of the focus for the meeting in Grenoble, have you thought about, is there a particular angle that you want to take for that meeting yet, or is it still in development?
Well, I've learned about it yesterday, so far no specific angle, but we will discuss with Anja.
Great. If I can ask you to pass to the lady with the colourful hair for us, please. Makes it easy to identify you.
Yes, I am the food coordinator of Vienna, of the city of Vienna. And in Vienna we are a rather small group who deals with food in the Department for Environmental Protection. And we will get a new boss next year, and we'll see where the focus will be. But I have one question to this program. Some of my colleagues are involved in a Horizon project led by E-Clay, and for me it's I don't know if there are any connections between. It's irritating for me because there are these programs and others, and we have to focus on, we can't do different projects because we don't have the resources. And I would be interested if there are any connections. And yes, and we in Vienna we released a live action, food action plan, and we tried to implement the goals of the Farm to Fork strategy in the city, and yes, maybe in one of the next working groups I can tell you more about it.
Okay, great. Andrea, Alvaro, do you want to pick up on the Horizon?
No, not on the Horizon. I want to make other comments on that, so I
Okay.
Shall I do it? Yeah? Okay. By the way, also Marseille enters the room, so we have another city participating. No, although I'm part of the group, working group of the draft, but I wanna open a bit the discussion. My concern will be, I'm trying to think how we can give like some kind of political perspective to the, because it's really good because we are pragmatic in the sense that we are like looking at like the operational parts of the plan. So about the meetings and the topics we want to address, or the actors we want to connect. But I would like to, I think we need some kind of political main goal or something, because otherwise, because food is such a huge topic, and we could be like trying to target too many things at the same time, and at the end we don't really target anything, no? So I will see what could be our main goal. And of course, maybe we all don't have the same priority, but maybe if we kind of somehow agree on one goal that more or less is important to everyone, then we can really go for getting something on that. And I will do that very related to our kind of lobbying capability of Europe, European Union. We were talking just before, no, about how other actors of the food system, they really organize themselves to lobby. She was explaining us like how the dairy industry was trying to kind of decrease the targets of the farm to fork. So I think we should do it too, and we have the authority that of being democratic institutions. So I will try to get like a main political goal to be lobbying European Union on one issue that we think we can go further. As you can imagine, my thing will be mostly related about climate change. That's why I would like to maybe link it to the Barcelona Challenge energy, let's say. In fact, I think we could, in 10 days, the COP26 is going to start in a European country, not in a European Union country, but in a European country. So first step will be, and that's what we're going to do here, is like we all commit to tell our state governments the message of the cities, and that we want them to bring that to the COP. I know it's kind of symbolic somehow, but it's just to make sure we establish this connection with our state, and that this issue is important for us, and that we are kind of connected with other cities that are doing the same thing. That will be a very short-term like first step, and then on that, I will see what could be our targets within European Union policy making, and I'm not really on that, so I don't really know, but I know other people knows, and then we go for that, and we start like seeing how we can influence that, and maybe any of our meetings could be somehow, I don't know, inviting some European Union whatever that is gonna have to hear all the cities telling them about some things, and maybe we can make a report with some kind of data that is kind of supporting us. I don't know. I will go for something like that. I know I don't have an action plan, but I have a action goal.
Sure. No, thank you. And I think, and I'm going to come to I think it was the lady with the yellow mask that was from another European city. Was that right? Was it you? No, in a minute. It just. I was giving you warning. Yes, so just to pick up on that point.
Yes, I can. Sorry, I just had to.
No, that's all fine. Just give me a sec. So just to pick up on the point of political voice, I think it is a really important one. I think for the European region, it is important we think about influencing the EU and influencing outside of the EU. And I think particularly if we want to engage non-EU members like Norway, United Kingdom now, we need to ensure that's part of the narrative. And I would suggest that we have 3 political goals for the region. One, which is based at the EU Commission, and I think that may well be very much based on climate change and the link also to farm to fork and waste. One which is for each of us within our member states, so the lobbying voice of cities within nations and for us to influence, and I would suggest, because this is Birmingham's space, is around food justice and the discussion within each member state, and we will launch in the next session our food justice pledge for cities. And then and we are joined by the UN rapporteur on food justice, because this is a growing global issue. And then the third, I think, is we need a political position for the world. And I think that may be a variation of climate change, or it may be that climate change is that world statement, and the EU Commission is more about procurement laws and those things. But I would suggest that we think in our political frames in those 3 ways, because that will ensure everyone gets a part that is relevant. So let me bring in, I forget, which city are you from?
Yeah, Bordeaux. I'm here with the mayor of Bordeaux and some people from the technical services of Bordeaux Métropole, which is the group of cities around Bordeaux, and also with F. de Mange, who will be intervening in Pechacucha tomorrow, or after tomorrow, I don't remember. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay, tomorrow. Just like my colleagues in Grenoble, saying that the new mayor of Bordeaux wants to be really involved in the Milan Pact food. Mm-hmm. That's why he's here, and that we could, exchange experiences and be also a source of inspiration for others, but also others, we have many things to learn from others, so that's just, and we can also be welcoming some of the groups or anything like that.
Great.
Sorry for my poor English.
No, it did. Trust me, my French is much worse. There are people who have joined us during the session. Are there any other European city representatives who've joined us? Okay. And I know you've joined us late. Where's Davide? Oh, right. So if we come to the gentleman here first. Yeah. So, and then we'll be coming to the gentleman in the back row. So really it was to think about in terms of the plan and what we're focusing on, comments from your city and any thoughts on things we've missed. Or things that in Bergamo are particularly, you think at the moment, are important on the agenda.
Actually, I think sorry, I honestly don't have anything to add because it's already really complete and.
It is always the difficult bit when we do a good job. Everyone goes, "Yeah, great." No, that's fine, David. Let's come to the gentleman in the back, and then if you have another thought, we can come back. I feel bad putting you on the spot when you're right.
Hello, good morning. Emmanuel Thomas, and just to confirm for Montpellier that we stay very involved in the subject, and the new government in Montpellier is very, very involved in the political policy, the policy of food and agricultural, and we develop new projects. So don't hesitate to ask us anything. And in 2023, we will probably have big events. So maybe we can speak about the next Eurocities working group food in these years in Montpellier.
Great. Always good to have a venue far in advance. It makes our lives much easier. So
the regional forum.
It's brilliant. Okay, and yeah, Andrea, come on.
I think that the part of raise the voice of our politician is a very, very, very good goal for our future, because until now we work primarily at technical level within this working group, but we have a lot of politicians engaged. The vice president of Grenoble, the adjoint mayor de Marseille, the alderman of Almere is very engaged, the vice mayor of Milan, so and the majority of them are women. And maybe we can do something, as you mentioned, symbolic, but that can be very interesting to say some position of jointly. And maybe we can arrange also, as mentioned, the councillor of Birmingham again, and we can take maybe some political webinar among them, just also to know each other. And so when we have also the meeting of Eurocities, we have they are much more familiar each other, and maybe try to have a nice video in which they explain also in a dynamic way what we want to tell to the European institution, and organize a little bit a campaign on the social media on that. We can maybe pay this with food trails. Within food trails, we have a task, a working package on advocate something. So something, because we need to define the topic towards the European institution and also to our national government, because during each term presidency of European Union was organized a food conference, and was very, very nice to met each other with the institutional European bodies and so on. And there we establish our strong relation with the European Commission, truly. And after the COVID wasn't organized something similar and so big, also in some country of Eastern, like Bulgaria, in Plovdiv, was organized an amazing event on this. In Vienna was organized a meeting on this in Brussels, and maybe this can be one specific and also in certain way technical, because we need to do a good video, not just a video that we record each other, but can be an option to join this effort and to raise our voices also at political level.
Great. You want to come back in and get the microphone to the front, please. And after this point, I will give an opportunity for non-European cities who are attending if there's anything you want to comment to add.
Well, I find it difficult to speak on behalf of politicians, but I could say one thing I do very much support this idea to focus more on advocacy, what Alvaro also was saying, and I think it also suits very much with what the Dutch cities are now working on. Actually, this new city deal has been established much more also with the idea of advocacy, because cities see that if they want to work and go ahead with programs on food environment, that they don't have the legal possibilities to do so, which is a problem that they have, especially with the national state, but there is also a link there to Europe. So this whole idea of how can cities come together and also advocate to higher governments, being national or European, to give more space and support the role of cities. I think that is an important way to go. And for Almere, I can also say that I think the topic of food justice is a very important topic. Maybe people don't realize that, but Almere is also a majority-minority city with 40% of people from non-Dutch background. So the whole issue of social inclusion, food justice is a very important topic there, and I'm sure that Almere would very much want to support that line.
Brilliant. Well, do come to this session on the food justice pledge, and I just picking up on that point. Michael Fakar, who's the UN rapporteur on food justice, when we met him to talk about the city's pledge and to take his advice, I think it's fair to say he had not thought about the voice of cities in this space. He had thought about global food producers and manufacturers, and he thought about member states and FAO and UN. But the voice of cities, he felt, was very silent. And he felt, and he will talk a bit more about that in the session, but it was really interesting that so many of the global bodies are coming to the recognition that cities are important, that our voices are important, that we are pivotal to understanding the needs of citizens, but also to understanding the system that is required to support them around food. And it's the system bit that is so important to the Milan Pact and the role of cities. So I think it is a really important space. You wanted to come in, the lady on the front here.
Thank you. Another French city, it's Lyon. I represent Lyon with now two elected officials present here for the forum. And since the Green Party has been elected to the, both the City of Lyon, Municipality of Lyon for the mayor and Greater Lyon for the president, we will involve again in this Eurocity forum. As you saw, we organized one meeting I think 3 years ago, and Grenoble will be a good, really very close city to go to and participate to the Eurocity working group for food.
Brilliant.
So rely on us.
Excellent, thank you. Finally, just the lady in the red over here, please.
Hi, let me introduce myself as a candidate European Union country's representative from Turkey. I'm from Mezitli, and we are a member of Eurocities environment working group, not food group. But now I see that maybe we will organize something engaging with the environment group of Eurocities. Why I thought that? Because one of our projects, it is about waste management. But nowadays, I'm on my way to engaging our waste management projects volunteers with food projects, food waste projects volunteers. So this is so important to collaborate on a certain common problem. Why don't we do something like that?
And I think that's a really important point because, as Andrea describes, there are thousands of European groups and committees, and it speaks to your point from Vienna about how these layers, and many of us will connect into a group and back into the Milan Pact. And it is through that partnership that we cannot all be in every room, but we all have a responsibility to advocate for cities and for our role in the food system and look at those spaces together. I think because otherwise we all look to Milan and the small team in Milan and go, can you do it? And we as cities have to own the space as well, which I think is really important. So I think we are probably coming to the end of this time slot. Is there anything anyone else wants to add from the floor? Yes. You're a thinker.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Before you are seeing, you are watching your WhatsApp.
Yeah, of course. No, you caught me off because I was unprepared. I need to admit it. Actually, I'm Davide Zarri. I'm from the city of Bergamo, and we are trying to push the municipality and the European project office and the political side to get into Eurocities. But I find it really. I mean, I find difficult to bring all the city, all the municipality together and convince them that is valuable. So I think that there's a need to translate a will that is still, I mean, of just someone else, someone in a city, and spread it all in the municipality. That's a point. That's a key point, and we are trying to exploit our synergies with the other Italian cities, part of Eurocities, to bring all the people together.
I think it's a really important point, and I think it's one of the opportunities of the Pact is that where cities are starting on the journey, or political change has meant that political support is not necessarily there, working through the Pact to invite other cities to come and visit, because certainly in other areas of my work, that has been something that has been used as this city has done it and they're coming to share their learning with us, and then everyone turns out to meet them, and but it helps get people on board. And I think we have to keep coming back to the Pact is a partnership of cities, and we join it to help each other. That is the primary reason we come to the table, is to share learning and to help others. And therefore, if you are a city in need, then reach out, because that's the other part that I think as a secretariat, that's our job to help, is to say if a city raises and says, this is an issue that we're struggling with, we work the network to try and find help. Natalia, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on that I suppose that this rising of political voices of city, it will help very much if we do such a video, and these ideas of having the mayors together and advocating for the crucial role of cities. I think it will take other cities on board, other political representatives, and it can have a real multiplier effect. That would be really great.
Yes. So it's the lady from Bordeaux.
To add something to what was said, I can speak on behalf of the mayor of Bordeaux. He really wants to take part of this exchange program, but also to be part on alternative policies all together with other elected representatives. And I think for him it's very important to show that they can, by exchanging experiences, really concretely make things happen, and see that in other cities too it's possible.
Yeah.
I think this is really interesting.
I think there's a really strong point coming out. The lady at the front here.
I'm sorry, didn't want to take the space of cities, but just as you say, when it comes to Europe, another great opportunity that will come starting from January is the French presidency, especially because we have so much interest from the French cities. So Europe is not only the European Commission, it's also the European Parliament, it's the presidency. The Commission will not move the world because there is a lot of forces around food, let's say, that are involved. So I think it would be great to also think about an opportunity under there. Maybe afterwards I'll explain what we have done under the Slovenian presidency that it's happening now.
Yeah. Okay. Alvaro.
Thank you. I'm kind of given what I said at the beginning and kind of linking with different things that I heard. I'm talking very much from the political level. I think, like Mayor of Bordeaux, or maybe what he was explaining about Bergamo difficulties to get like politicians involved in the Eurocities. I think from the political side, you need to see you are achieving politically something, and we have this challenge with the non-European Union thing. I don't know if maybe we could like go for something that, for example, Britain, Scotland could go in the national level, but with the same goal and with the same proposal even, then we could go for the European Union. The thing, but I really would like to get like inputs from people like you that are really much into that scene and see what is where we could like be very effective. And they say, okay, and maybe apart from video and community, which I think is good and it's like the warming up, but I will go for like asking a meeting with someone and going together and talking to them, and it would be great to have a concrete proposal. It's like, I don't know, you said procurement. I think it's a good one. But I don't know, honestly, I don't know which one is. I know that we have so many things to do that for sure there will be 10 good options, but like, let's take one. If it's procurement, I'm into it. And we propose these changes in the European directive on public procurement related to food. And we go for it, and we are going to be knocking the door until something is going on in that direction. And if we manage to make a change, then I'm sure a lot of politicians from our cities, then are going to be more interested in joining whatever. So I will go somehow. We'll need to think about what is the thing, and I'm looking for something that could be used in the same way, so outside European Union, no?
Yeah.
But and we could help you go to the British government somehow and say, hey, this procurement law, which could be also implemented for Britain, of course.
Yes, Andrea.
We were connected, and we have already established a meeting bilateral with a European Food Forum. That is a forum organized by MEPs, so members of the European Parliament. And there is a steering group of 4 MEP transversal, one per each party and from different European countries. And maybe this can be an option. So organize a breakfast dialogue with them in present in Brussels with some of our politicians, and focusing the different goal can be an option when you talk. We need to speak with them. And maybe one of the MEPs, one from a director of the Commission, and one, if we want, also from the turn presidency, can be a turn of free representative of a free institution of the European Union. That can be an option to share with us.
Okay.
And I think there's also something, and I think maybe outside the meeting we need to talk, but there is something around COP is coming very, very fast. Have we got enough time to pivot from the Barcelona Charter to a call across the Pact cities to say, will you sign a joint letter which simply says climate change cannot be achieved without talking about our food systems? And because if we go any further, everyone will have an argument about the wording. But certainly in the UK, I am seeing our faith leaders, our young people, there's a petition every day, a letter every day. But I think it is a really important, we must not miss the opportunity for the Pact Partnership to submit a simple statement that says climate change cannot be achieved without a conversation about our food systems. And I think linking that to then the Barcelona Charter would be a very quick, short step to set forward. So on that positive action, do I hand back to you, Andrea, for the next section?
So thank you, Justin, for moderating us. And now we change the setting, and we ask to Anja to present. to present the advancement of the farm to fork. And this part of a joint commitment, maybe we can exploit what we do in the previous meeting of Eurocities, in which we prepare a statement, a joint statement, and this can be also useful, and Anja already present to Eurocities. Please. Okay, please.
Yeah, I'll not present Eurocities, I think. Hopefully by now you all have a clear idea of what it is. But if you want to get very concrete, because what's happening in the EU, which affects also non-EU countries, underlining. Because I come from Switzerland, I know very well. Norway, it's extremely involved, so the fact that the UK is not in the EU does not mean you get heavily affected by what's happening there. So what do? We represent cities, and yeah, we connect cities. We work on every single topic that is of interest for cities. Food is one of our newest baby, but it's becoming stronger. So yeah, you wanted to get very concrete on what cities can do in terms of influence politically. So I know it's not easy what's happening in the EU. It's 8 years that I work there. Sometimes I'm still confused myself. There is a lot of, as I said, a lot of powers, a lot of lobby at work. But yeah, just to give you an overview, this was already presented. What do we want to achieve in terms of cities, Eurocities? But really, the main idea that you should keep. Sometimes we have the impression that cities are just, okay, there is a proposal maybe 10 years ago, then it comes, is discussed in the Commission, there is a proposal from the Commission, is approved in the Parliament, comes to the Council, then is approved at national level, and suddenly it comes down to cities. Now cities, you have to implement it. And this is not the way it should work. Cities should be there from the very beginning and say, okay, this is not working for us. Maybe this works very well for French cities, this does not work at all for Romanian cities, because we are not all the same. So we want to be there from the beginning. And right now, I keep on saying right now, it is now that is starting the discussion on the Food Sustainable System Law, which is the ambition to move from agricultural policy to a food law. So that will encompass every single aspect of food. So this is called the Farm to Fork. You have heard a lot about it, hopefully, maybe not. Until now, this is a communication. It's just an ambition. So there is nothing concretely yet. But the Farm to Fork is not only legislation, it's 27 different actions. Some of them will be concrete legislation, for example, reduction of pesticide, but also half of food waste by 2030. That's another concrete. There is also, so again, trying to simplify very complicated things, there is going to be, for sure, 2 sets of legislation that will come down on new cities. One, there's the introduction of minimum mandatory food procurement criteria by 2023. And the other one is this proposal to reduce food waste by 2030 on 50%, which still we don't know what will be calculated. Maybe it will be calculated at city level or it will be calculated at national level. But again, if these are going to come down on you in terms of implementation, and I know that for some of you maybe it's like, okay, we are already there, we are already reducing our food waste, we are working on this since 20 years. But from other cities, it's not the same. So I should also mention that a lot of the legislation right now, the hardcore legislation, are mainly related to agricultural production, reduction of pesticide, increasing biodiversity, but also increasing organic farming. And this is where a lot of the fights that are currently happening in the European Parliament are at the moment. Let's say the city role is still not there. There's we are all very much convinced that cities have a role. It's not the same at the European Commission. They are still thinking about farmers, which is, of course, super important, thinking about the national level. And slowly, we are pushing, hey, look, we have a strong role to say. We can tackle food environments. We can look at obesity. We can try to promote healthy, more sustainable diets in cities. 70%, 80% of Europeans live in cities. So, yeah. So we are getting there. I think in the last years we did giant steps. Honestly, it's also not that easy. Food is, if you think food tackling in cities is challenging because you have to work in different departments, at the European Commission is the same. There are at least 6-7 different European Commissions that are currently involved. Of course, fisheries, agriculture, Sante, so the more health component of food, DG Environment, working on the more environmental aspect, DG Growth, working on procurement, DG Regional Policy, always a bit in their own corner, doing their own thing. It's true. I'm being very frank with you. I'm trying to translate what's happening in Brussels. But yeah, so these are kind of the concrete target. As I mentioned, some become law. So when they become law, then they're transposed at national level and they come down on everybody that is a national level. Some are just ambition. They are voluntary agreement, like this EU Code of Conduct that was presented yesterday for some of you, is a voluntary agreement by food businesses that they should stop harmful marketing of unhealthy products, for example. There is also the idea of harmonizing labeling of food all over Europe, which will be both in terms of health and eco. It's still not clear exactly. They're just at the beginning, they're just throwing ideas. I cannot tell you exactly what will happen because this is now the time where you can go say, okay, this works, this doesn't work, why it doesn't work. And I can tell you that the biggest step that we see is by 2023, there is a proposal for a legislative framework on sustainable food system. And Eurocities was there was an expert group promoted by the Joint Research Center. There were 43 experts that were asked, okay, what will be the building blocks of this sustainable food system law? What it should have or not have? I think, just to summarize, the main point we did as Eurocities was, of course, involvement of cities, national food strategy, mandatory at the EU level, which are co-created with regional and local policy. This is something we are heavily asking, going beyond just the rural funds and the common agricultural policy funds. And there is other, of course, key points related to, as I said, procurement, food waste, but also healthy environments, food environments, which is something they also hadn't really in their radar until now. And then there is a lot relation to pesticides, organic farming, and animal caging, which personally I also think it's very important. So what do we do? Eurocities doesn't say anything without it being approved by the cities. So in the last summer, we worked on a statement, which our comms team called Cooking Up a Sustainable Food System, which we are trying to give an overview of what cities are doing and why cities should be involved. However, this should be just a framework policy statement. If you Google it, you should find it very easily. We just launched it last Friday, also for World Food Day. Now, however, we want to go a lot more in details on a lot of the legislation. As I mentioned, the two key ones are the one related to procurement and reduction of food waste. These are the ones that is going to clearly come on new city authority. So this is something that would be great if you can have concrete input, as I said, we don't say anything without it being approved by the cities. So I cannot go and say, yeah, the cities want to reduce food waste by 100% in the next 5 years. It's not something I can do. But if you tell me you do it, now you go and say it, I'll do it. So just to say. So yeah, you can Google it. I have, it's 5 pages. I try to keep it very concise, but there is a lot to say on what cities are doing on food. So long fight with my policy director on this. Some of the key messages that I wanted to mention. It looks very normal for us. The cities have a role to play on food system, but it is not in Brussels. So this is our kind of key message. The other message is everything related to the more social component related to food aid. There is a lot of funding going, for example, for European Fund for the Most Deprived, related to the EU Child Guarantee that Andrea mentioned. And that's where normally the regional level has use of fund, but some of the cities also can get important. We are advocating for an ambition EU food policy that will be translated at national level in national food policy, which will be co-created with the regional component. We are advocating for introduction of food procurement. However, what we think is that the criteria should not be the same across Europe, because what happens normally that they say, okay, everybody should buy 25% biological food, which maybe for French cities is already been there, done that, while from other cities they still have to start. So what we are saying is that these targets, these minimum mandatory criteria should be different depending on the regional ecosystem and the food ecosystem that happens. And of course, we are trying to change the directive that prevent some cities to seek in more local food when they want to procure. This is something that officially you cannot do. However, I know a lot of you are very smart and they try to find criteria to buy more local, but also create partnership with suppliers at regional level. This is something officially you're not supposed to do, but I know a lot of you does. But you incur, of course, in challenge and possibility to be brought to court. So this is something we want to change. And we are saying, of course, further emphasis on the role of food environments, on collaboration with businesses, for example, in promoting of unhealthy products. Yeah, and of course, a strong role of EU funding programs. I think by now you've heard that EU funding under URPACT, under Horizon, under Urban Innovative Action, under Regional Development Fund, under Rural Fund, give a strong opportunity to boost the work of cities. So of course we're advocating for more calls for proposal in that sense. And short supply chain, I think I mentioned, yeah, city region food system. But yeah, you can read it. It would be really great that this is something that you can also promote, national level. Latest on the farm to fork, just try again to give you an overview. I know it's sometimes, so what happened? This is something that the European Commission feels is very big, is that the launch of the EU Code of Conduct on Sustainable Food Business. This is a voluntary agreement that businesses in Europe can sign, in the sense they commit to stop harmful advertising, to also promote, for example, everything related to labeling, to information, to don't hide information to buyers. Just yesterday, there was a fantastic fight in the European Parliament to vote on the own initiative of the Farm to Fork. It was approved. It was fantastic. You should be proud of your member of the European Parliament, because they were really under heavy attack from the lobby industry of dairy and meat, and they managed to approve despite this. So it's basically this is an own initiative. Yeah. Despite the challenges sometimes on national level. This is an own initiative. It's not legally binding from the European Parliament, but a bit sets the tone, keep the ambition high, do not stop at continuing as every day. So even though it's just at the beginning of the process, it gives a strong signal to the European Commission, which is normally the one proposing the legislation, to go and push, despite maybe some member state agricultural minister were like, no change, please, because otherwise we have no food. That's kind of the thing they're mentioning. Something I wanted to mention, and please come back to me if you're interested. Right now there are 2 open consultations related to, one, the building blocks of the food sustainable law. Each of you can answer both an individual as an organization, and the other one is about food waste reduction targets. The first one is by 26th of October, the second one is by 29th of October. You can just put in 4,000 characters on what you think the proposal is. You can use the Eurocities food policy statement as an inspiration if you don't know what to say, but I think it would be really great if all the cities can answer. I'm trying my best to promote this when they come out. It's the best way to tell at the very beginning of the process, at the very, very beginning, what you think should be there. As I mentioned, I worked in this Joint Research Center building blocks research group, and this will be finalized by November. So that's also a strong tool that we have to say to the European Commission. I mentioned. This is super important. We haven't discussed it, and also in the planning, because sometimes things move very fast when we talk about policy. Some of you might be familiar with the EU Urban Agenda. So this is something that was launched by the Dutch government a few years ago, and it was an idea, okay, cities have to be there, they have to be heard. We need multi-level governance, representative from cities, from region, from national level, from the EU, need to discuss with each other. And until now, we had the focus around 14 different partnerships, one on procurement, on air quality, on migrants, on cultural heritage, on circular economy, different topic. And we are advocating for having one promote on food. This is something that Slovenian presidency of the European Union now is very keen on. They have a very strong relationship also in their work on food. So yeah, this is something that I think will be also a great tool to use if it's launched. It should be starting in November 2022, because nothing is fast in the European Union. So I hope it gives a little bit of clarity on what is happening there. Once again, the fact that it's EU does not mean we'll not have great impact from also non-EU cities when it comes to trade, international trade agreement. The Farm to Fork really touches everything from food production to international trade agreement. The idea is that, to Rural Fund, Fisheries Fund, and Social Fund. What else did I have there? Funding. I think I'll stop there. Everything kind of okay related to legislation. Have I motivated you being involved in this process, and not just in 5 years you'll suddenly be dumped
on legislation you have to implement that you haven't heard anything before about?
Yes, well, thank you very much. For me, it's been very useful to get all this information about this consultation, this open consultation that is about to finish. I want to hear more about it's open to everyone, and how does it work?
So basically, the European Commission always has two kinds of consultation. First, it's a pre-assessment of the consultation, which only lasts 4 weeks, usually, where they ask, okay, do you think we should take action on this? The questions are really simple. Do you think we should take action on this, or we shouldn't take action on this? It's a bit to justify whether they can be involved in this kind of action or not. And now we are at that step. It's the first step. Is that, do you think we should take action? And of course, the answer is yes, we need a little bit of action, or we need a set of directives on that section. So this is what's happening now. Then they take all the answer and they create more. So this is now what it's happening until the 29 is 4,000 characters plus a document that you can upload. Even you as a single person can answer, plus you can answer a city. Then they take all the answer, they kind of crunch it in, they have proposals, and then they have a second set of consultation that usually opens a few months later, where they make precise question, and then they ask you, this is very important, this is not important at all, this is okay, this is not okay. And in that case, then the kind of input you can give is a lot less, because it's framed into this set of questions that have been decided. So there is going to be a lot of this in the next month.
Yeah. Okay, and I guess it's not the same if a city kind of makes an statement that is just individual. I'm just thinking, if you have work a statement, we could be a bit automatic on that. Let's say we distribute to all the European cities that are part of the Milan Pact, and we all address the same text. If I think we are in this point where it's easy to agree, but we already send a message that, wow, for whoever is reading up these statements, it's wow, I have 15 cities saying the same thing here, and it's like being in the map.
Absolutely. You can definitely use the policy statement on Eurocities as an inspiration. If you don't agree with some of the points, you can take them out. But I think the statement was co-created with all the cities of the working group, so we are not saying anything that you shouldn't agree on. Please go ahead and read it. It should be very easy to be found at the moment. And it was presented by our president, the mayor of Florence, also at the European Commission last Friday during the high-level Farm to Fork conference.
I will just propose that we, through the Milan Pact Secretariat, we send it out to all these European cities, and with this idea from this session, is as easy as that, I will say.
Absolutely. On food waste is a little bit different, because I honestly we don't have a strong position at the moment, and it's a very technical proposal, the one that they are suggesting. So I would be very keen in having your strong comments on this, so we could answer by the deadline. Have your say. It's called Have Your Say, European Commission Food Waste or Sustainable Food System Law. You should find it. They launch initiative on so many different things. There is so much related now to reduction of pesticides. We are not very active there, but let's say as city you could answer on everything that you want, of course. Yes. Just a bit conscious.
In your overview, it also mentioned on the back enabling food environments. I also know that the word was included in the Farm to Fork document itself. Is anything moving there, or?
So there is no concrete set of legislation there. It's just what we are at the moment. We are saying recognize the role of food environments and recognize that it's not all about education and labeling. It's not just because you put a label on a product that suddenly everybody's going to buy it. It's a bit more complicated than that. It's about taxation, it's about incentives, it's about markets that promote local food. So that's what the kind of advocacy in that sense at the moment is only moving in that sense.
But there's no action connected to that, or not a DG which is in charge of that? Or?
So the DG in charge of the Farm to Fork at the moment is DG Sante. So the one working on health. I'm working also with a lot of other networks in Brussels, among which is the European Health Alliance. They are also the one really strongly push for food environments. Okay. But there is no set of legislation concretely on that. It's just recognizing the importance and do not put all the shame on consumer, or do not think that just because you change a label, suddenly everybody's going to buy healthy food. Yeah. Any other question? I'm be around the another next day. I'm more than happy, as I said, to try to translate all of this into terms. But I hope you've retained the message that you should be there from the beginning and not only implement something when it comes down a national level and suddenly you have to find yourself, because this is what happened for air quality. A lot of European cities, for example, in Italy, are in breach of air quality standard and they have to pay a lot of fines. This is something that is, okay. We don't want that. We want to be there from the beginning, not when you have then in breach of legislation and pay fine. Funding. As I said, one of the key role of Eurocities is try to help cities in accessing European funding. Horizon Europe is not an easy one to approach, but when you're there, you can get a lot out of it. If you were there yesterday at the meeting of the 5 sister project, Food 2030 project, you might have got a glimpse of the potential there. So these are some of the next calls under Horizon Europe that is going to focus on food. I'm more than happy again to come and explain them in more detail just because of the timing. I would just wanted to mention that I should really look at the one on social innovation in food sharing and strengthening urban communities' food resilience. It's a very interesting project of 10 million where you can have cities in the lead. And as Eurocities, I can say that I think we are looking at this mobilization of society to transform food system for co-benefit. That is a call for proposal that is less about implementation on local level and more about replication and advocacy, which is something we're already doing, and this could be a tool to strengthen our work. But there is also a lot about empower citizens on data rights, food and nutrition, and of course a lot on food losses and waste, which remains very high on the agenda. More than happy to come back to this in more detail. Of course, do not forget other kind of programs. There is a lot coming on food under Urbact. Yesterday we had an event also on the food project on Urbact. LIFE, I don't know where my colleagues didn't put it. LIFE program also has a section on food. Single market program is the one more related to SMEs, but of course collaboration with cities and Interreg Europe. And yeah, there is a lot. Just come to us and we can help. That's, I think, was the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Anja. Just to a quick comment on the horizons, on the next horizons, that for sure is a very huge task to do.
Can you go back?
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah, try to orient there.
Where's the?
Can we change the slide before?
Sorry, it's not working.
One. One before?
La anterior.
Anterior. No. But yeah. So regarding the horizon, the major issue is to find a good coordinator because it's very, very difficult, manage, and all of us are already mail bombing from some actor that want to ask to city to be part of an horizon or to lead to an horizon. And maybe we can work together if we anticipate. Thanks. If we anticipate this mail bombing. So if there are some news of actors already pan-European that want to apply, is the moment now to share. Eurocities, I think that can be a good coordinator for a project, maybe what Anja mentioned on mobilization of society and transform food system co-benefits. So a coordinated support action can be an option, but I think that is an ongoing discussion. The idea is to connect all the city of Eurocities working group food, so not maybe to prepare parallel proposals, and is also a message for the European Commission if we are able to coordinate and cooperate towards goals. We know that there are the dynamic of competition within the European grants, and is obviously, and is a positive competition, of course. But yeah, this is a topic. And I have also a brief comment on the topic of advocacy, because as you know, I try to raise our voice on European Child Guarantee. That is a new new initiative of the Commission that are willing to organize a huge effect in some European countries in few months, because there are 7 European countries, which are Italy, Germany, Greece, Spain, Lithuania, maybe Latvia, are 6. I missed one, like Septenani, in which this country need to define an action plan at national level for implement this European Child Guarantee, and for them is mandatory invest by 5% of the European Social Fund on this action plan. Within this action plan, there is 4 pillars. One of them is school canteens, so school meals, to allow for the family needs have free access to the school meals. In some countries, like Italy, this topic is not managed, so in the action plan there isn't any kind of reference on this, and Milan as other cities are trying to raise our voice to do, you need to do this, we have a perfect institution that are managing that kind of service, and we can do this. Maybe it's an option also to work with the other 6 countries, so Spain for sure, to work together on this topic. And there are a huge amount of money on this, so UNICEF is managing for the commission the entire system, and also in Italy, UNICEF Italy is manage this action plan. I speak with person of Madrid during a meeting of Madrid of Eurocities working group on child, and so maybe it can be an immediately action that we can do also together.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of the planning, there is so much happening constantly. Maybe the planning also, we are already working, for example, on COP with the Glasgow Food and Climate Declaration. So the more we have cities coming forward, said, okay, I really want to touch this and I really want to work on this, the more we can find the synergy. But yeah, we can't expect few cities to lead the entire process or few organizations to lead the entire process. Let's say, I am so keen of having something on food environments, I'm so keen on sharing further of food waste, please come forward and we can then share and promote the tools. Yeah, I hate the
So thank you very much. We are perfectly in time because we need to leave this room in 2 minutes. I think that was very, very interesting this morning, and we will discover all the leadership plan of all the Milan Pact region in this afternoon during the State of the Pact session. And for this, in each region, one member of a steering committee will be on the stage to present the leadership plan. I will propose to do together our 4 on the stage and to divide our part, because I think that I will appreciate to share this part, because otherwise in Milan it's very difficult to maintain this task also in the future. And so maybe for our region we can do our 4 together. So thanks again, and enjoy the rest of the forum.